So welcome to the latest episode of Gallifrey Pirate Radio, where we are talking about the name of the Doctor. I am your host, Davey Beauchamp, and I am joined by...
Angela Pritchett.
And Drew Meyer.
Oh, okay. I just got
Get it out, Davey. Get it out. We'll sit here patiently. We'll see you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. No, I really love this episode. Does it make up for this entire Series 7? I'm not sure, but I gotta say, I was worried about Moffat, about Moffat bringing it. Not only did I think he brought it, I mean, he brought it in a big way. And I gotta thank everybody out there that got those Blu-rays early. Thank you for not spoiling this for the rest of us. Thank you. So what'd you guys just think about this episode?
Internet world that raged over the name of this episode. JK. It was funny, like so many people heard the name of this episode and just fan raged.
They're gonna do it.
Yeah, and it was hilarious. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is their way to make everyone do this. So then everyone watched it and was like, oh, it was so awesome! The name of the Doctor was awesome! And I'm like, weren't you one of the people that was raging about this last week?
But the question is, did you like it?
I did like it.
So did I.
So we're actually all in agreement for once.
No, I think...
No, that we all liked it. I mean...
Yeah, I think you'll find the levels of enjoyment of it will vary, but...
yeah. But I mean, honestly, the past few times we've reviewed stuff, I was kind of meh about the episode. But I mean, I really enjoyed this episode on so many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did I have issues with some of it? There's some small details that I was just disappointed in. But I mean, overall, for what we've had this entire season, if we're going to talk about the entire Series 7, I mean, I'm really thrilled by what we got here. And I think, we didn't get a teaser trailer for the 50th anniversary. But I'll tell you this, what they gave us, I think it was well worth it. So we're going to start by, talking about some of the things we didn't like about this episode, more because it's going to take a little bit longer to get through everything I adored about this episode. So I'm going to start with the negative, and then we'll flow into the positive. And we'll start with you, Drew. What were some of the aspects of this name of the Doctor that you did not care for, you did not like?
Didn't like? Well, there were all very few. Trying to think. I know there's a couple of things. And I just saw this for the first time last night. I felt that there was some of what was going on, especially towards the end, was a little confusing. As far as I don't know, I didn't feel that the Clara payoff was as big. I knew, secretly in my heart, I knew we weren't going to get a grandiose plan. It was going to be something that we couldn't possibly have foreseen. I don't know, underplaying Richard Grant. The whole, he walks into the Doctor's time scar and disintegrates and goes into his timeline and messes up. We didn't see how he messed it up.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of and then we didn't see how Clara saves him. Again, it's one of those things where I don't want to say that I wish this was a two-part episode, because let's face it, it is a two-part episode.
It is.
But I don't know. You know what? I'll mention some things I didn't like as I remember them. But as it stands right now, I was pretty satisfied with this episode.
Okay, Angela. I did not like the green screening for Richard E. Grant's parts after he goes into the time scar. I think Clara's looked good. His just looked like they were super rushed. And you can tell, some of them, even the graininess from the classic Who that they took, and him, they don't match up. They just didn't look as good. You see the one of Clara and the First Doctor, and it looks like she's in the episode.
That was amazing.
But when you see him in there, even when they're just doing the short flashes, it looks so different. It looks really, sad to say, amateurish for just that part, though. For all the Clara stuff, it fit in great. But whenever you have the great intelligence in there, it's not so much. I also was very sad we did not get a nice clip the Eighth Doctor.
I was about to say, I think that's one of my biggest complaints.
I wanted that so bad.
That was so quick, so fast. You know, I would have liked it a little bit longer. He got shortchanged, I thought.
Even if it was him in the new outfit, they could have totally been like, "Hey, McGann, come here."
I'll reserve judgment until the 50th, because how they've done the focusing on every Doctor. This was the 7th Doctor. The next one will be the 8th Doctor. They might completely ignore it, especially when we find out who John Hurt's character is. You know that.
And we're going to discuss that because I have a few different.
I'm not going to say it now.
Well, no, but I have a few theories about who he might possibly be.
You have 6 months to discuss these theories.
Well, no. I mean, just because they introduce him, and they also make reference to possibilities of who he is in the episode.
Oh no.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's my biggest complaint is the 8th Doctor got no love.
Mm-hmm.
But the possible problem with the green screen with Grant's character might be... One thing I noticed is that even though they filmed this in 1080 DPI, they only showed in 720 at the best. And I'm really curious about actually seeing a actual 1080 DPI version of this episode to see how it really looks.
I have no idea what you're saying. Right
Okay,
now.
basically,
High def over standard.
And there's two different versions of high def because I've watched this in standard now and I've watched this in 720 high def, and the difference is night and day. So when we go to the 1080,
but there's a difference between the Clara scenes did not look as bad as the ones with him in there. So I mean, there shouldn't be that.
Well, the thing is,
big difference whether it's in high def or standard.
Well, I mean, they might have rushed his parts where they worked more on hers, and when they release it on DVD or Blu-ray, they might fix that. Which I've seen them do in movies or other TV shows where they clean up the CG because they have more time.
Plenty of time. This episode's been done for a while, I would say.
I honestly, I don't know what the time frame is for this episode. Because then, like before, they were literally, they were still filming while they were showing episodes. I'm not sure if they're still doing that anymore.
I don't think they were, because they were filming the 50th, last month before last.
Or here's another thing. They might have decided to do those Richard E. Grant after they filmed the episode. They wanted more stuff, and they were they did pickup shots and threw them in there.
I'm excited about watching these with the commentary.
Very excited.
It's going to be very, very interesting.
So I almost want to say what did we like about this episode, but I think we're going to get. Well, okay, what did you guys like about this episode?
I really liked this episode. I liked all of it. I mean, I liked the just the openings. Let's just talk about the opening sequence. Being able to see Hartnell in color was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the way that they took that transfer and included Clara into it, and that is actually one of the things I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that Clara went back and met Hartnell, but not that she met it. I didn't like that she was the one to suggest he take that TARDIS. That was not what I liked, but that's me. But yeah, just the insertions, just being able to see the Doctors or body stand-ins for say 8, 9, and just everybody.
Well, my question about, I just want to throw this out here. Number 10, do you think that was actually him in his shot? Because it really looks an awful lot like Tennant.
It might be. It could be something we'll see in the 50th.
Yeah. Well, no, the reason why I said that is, this is Tennant. He loves the show. He's right there. I mean, and since he's not Eccleston, who, wants something to do with the thing, I could honestly see them. I could see Moffat, saying, "Hey, can you come in 2 seconds, dress up as the Doctor, and shoot this scene with us?"
I'm assuming that if Moffat actually made that call and Tennant was available, Tennant would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
The reason I would say that it's probably not him, because we only see him in 1.5 seconds worth of footage.
Yeah, and that's when they would, I think, more also be like, do we have the budget to get him to come out for the day? Even if it's standard SAG rate, it's still going to be $100 or more.
Or this could be what it was. It could have been that, originally they did have a stand-in when they were shooting the 50th. They took 2 seconds out, shot the scene. I don't know. out of all the Doctors, I mean, he really looked like Tennant.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that, but if it was Tennant, I would have imagined that they would have put a little more into him because he's just the back of his head. So, but who knows?
Who knows?
We'll find out. We will find out. Yeah. No, we don't actually get any commentary on the original releases, do we?
No. And honestly, now that we see that this is continued in the 50th, they're not going to release the actual box set until after we get that episode.
Nope. We're not getting it until Christmas.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be smart and have it ready by Christmas. I would imagine that would be possibly one of the...
Marketing-wise, that would be the best thing for the BBC if they like money.
Well, actually, one thing I found out, as of right now, Doctor Who... it may not. This ratings might have slipped a little in England right now, but right now worldwide it is the #1 show, and it's also their biggest moneymaker, hands down. Because they were talking about the figures that the show brings in, and more markets are now buying Doctor Who than have ever in its past, even when it was being bought during the Baker era. I mean, it is their #1 revenue source at this moment.
It would be nice to see them translate that into just a little bit better production, because it's still a really small, but you can tell it's a very small budget they're putting that show together.
But maybe now because of it, maybe they will give it a little bit more money. Okay, let's continue on what we liked about this, and both of you guys discussed, because I mean. I'll take my 5 minutes to squee about the entire thing, and then ask you guys some questions.
I've gone. You go.
Yeah.
Okay. I generally don't like the Doctor kissing people. I did like the River song Doctor Kiss. I thought that was very sweet and heartwarming, and
I think it's the best use of a kiss on the show so far. It was the most heartfelt.
Well, for the Doctor.
Well, I mean, it felt real. If it didn't feel, it felt like there was chemistry between the two over that kiss. It was much better than the kiss that they had in the Doctor, or what is it, the Wedding of River song.
Was she actually there?
What?
Was she physically at that location?
No.
No. Okay.
No, because they even said that she wasn't there. But I thought the interesting is that is the River song from the computer.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty incredible.
So she was there because of the psychic link that she had made with Clara.
Yeah.
Previous to, because Clara was there, then River could be projected. Right?
But they also did make the comment that he always heard her. He always saw her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also psychic. I mean, that's one of the
sure.
They have those magic mind powers.
Yeah.
And they do run strong in this family. Almost all on you're talking like a Jedi. But no, I thought that was one of the best kisses that they've had on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It's nice to see that relationship be acknowledged. Unlike Jenny and Vasra, who, once again, she's calling her ma'am, and the one scene where they show any affection towards each other, where they're holding hands before they go into the tea party, and there's the little centerpiece in the middle of the table blocks the view of them touching each other for whatever reason. I don't know why, their relationship annoys me. How their relationship is not allowed to be portrayed annoys me, but that's
I will say that Strax calling all the men was pretty amusing. That did amuse me very much, and then he called the little boy, which I'm guessing is Tom Tom again. I don't know. Was that Tom Tom?
Oh, who's delivering the telegram?
Yeah.
No.
That wasn't.
I
I,
think so.
I saw it and I was just like, they're bringing this little kid back again too. But I thought it was more amusing how he called him a little girl. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I will say that I like the way Strax was used in this episode. This is definitely, for me, the best use of Strax. It was subtle and not heavy-handed. I thought the Paternoster gang on the whole was done really well this month.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you on that. I was very pleased. I don't like the fact we got to see Strax what he would be without the influence of the Doctor or Vastra or Jenny. Mm-hmm. He became
a Sontaran.
A real Sontaran again, which was really nice to see because, like I said, I mean, we haven't seen a real Sontaran in a long time. I mean, you know, betrayed like you would expect them to be from Classic Who.
Yeah.
Which was really, really nice.
Yeah, that was cool. I had no problems with that. Though I was a little confused as to shortly before he attacks Vastra has a little device that's explaining where the Doctor is disappearing, but she didn't have that device before, didn't have it after. I don't know what that device is.
Wait, wasn't that the same device that they used to bring her back to life?
I don't think so. Because that just seems like a space defibrillator. Well, but I could be wrong.
Honestly, I just took that as, you know, your generic sci-fi tech.
Oh,
they could pop out of her purse or something, you know.
Oh, yeah, and the gun that disintegrated Strax?
No, I think she was getting ready to do something with it, but he vanished before she could shoot him.
Gotcha.
That's the way I took it. I mean, and unfortunately, I've watched this thing I think 7 times now. Because, like I said, I think out of all the episodes during this season 7, this is my favorite. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say it's the best episode of Doctor Who. Not going to say that, but I think this is, for me, the most enjoyable of Series 7. I don't know if it's worth everything that we had to go through to get to it, but I mean, I was worried about Moffat, his style. I was scared that, you know, we were going to get the end of time here. From Davey's run again, you know, just an enormous letdown. But I got to say, he really, really brought it. So what else did you guys really like about this episode?
I think the banter between... Well, I mean, again, this goes without saying. Yeah. This was possibly the best we've seen Matt Smith act.
Yeah.
He hit every range. There was good comedy, serious. I believed him in every moment.
Yeah.
So definitely a high point with just watching the man work. We'll say that I think Clara, even with her being so pivotal to the plot,
yeah,
I felt that Jenna Louise Coleman wasn't given a lot to do. That all of her scenes were contingent on reacting more than anything else. Yeah. But she did a really good job with it. I again would like to see more with her, but
honestly, this episode sold me on her. I mean, I've liked her, you know, for the most part, but this is the episode that sold me on the character of Clara. I really dug her. I mean, yeah, and a lot of what she did was one-liners and zingers and stuff like that she's done in the past. But I just felt like she came together as a character finally. I don't think she's been this strongly portrayed since the Asylum of the Daleks. Because I really liked her in that episode, especially once I realized who she was. I thought this was her strongest episode so far in all of Series 7, and definitely in 7B. Anything else before I nerd out to the extreme here?
Nerd out.
Okay. The entire opening sequence. Luckily, nobody else was home. I screamed. Because I wasn't ready for that. Even with the teaser, even the second teaser where we got that teaser Bessie did not prepare me for what we were getting in just those first 5 minutes. When they said, you know, a long time ago on the planet Gallifrey, I was like, ah! And then when we saw that integrated clip of Hartnell, and not just Hartnell, and it was probably a stand-in, but Susan, I lost my shit. And then it just went from there. I mean, I just, the table that they were sitting at when they were doing the conference call. Mm-hmm. It was the console. It was the TARDIS console.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was the classic TARDIS console, no less. You know, with the defined whatever shape that is. I mean, it was just like we're throwing stuff in here. And the fact that, you know, we
actually wait, was it? Yeah. Was it because the console in the TARDIS has 6 sides, doesn't it? Because the whole joke was the Dapple console toy from the 80s had 5 sides, and they said they couldn't get the symbol right. And I know there were 5 people at the table, but
I thought the table was an octagon.
Yeah.
Right?
Was it an octagon?
I don't know. It was close enough. I don't think... I think it was done on purpose for people to be like, oh, look, it looks like the console... I love the scene where Ginny's freaking out because she realizes what's going on in the room.
Very well done.
That was...
Did you think Ginny was dead?
I was hoping she was. Because it just would have added more levity. Even if they would have brought her back, I wish they would have took longer to bring her back. But, I mean, that scene was just done so extremely well. Especially that one tear rolling down her face. Because she knew, it was a mistake that she didn't lock the door. And Vesper's just like, no, don't worry about it. And then when she mutters that line, I think I've been murdered. Mm-hmm. Oh. It just really just hit me. And I thought the use of River was great in this episode.
Oh yeah, she was yeah.
She was in top form.
Well written character.
And I hate to say it, I really think this was also her swan song. I think this was her goodbye. Especially with the way they did those lines, jumping to the end where say it like you're coming back. Which is how he always sort of says goodbye to all his companions. She wanted the same thing. Because he didn't know how to say goodbye to her. And just...
But we did get the one spoilers, so... You never know.
You don't know. But it was just... there's so much they did right in this episode that they've gotten so wrong during this entire season. This entire Series 7. It had its... it took you the entire spectrum of stuff. All the emotions. I won't lie. I was cheering, I was crying, I was giddy as a schoolboy all throughout this episode. And I did like the fact that we actually had 13 doctors in this episode.
Can you explain the 13 doctors?
Richard Grant.
Richard Grant did the voice of the Ninth Doctor.
First Scream of the Shelf guy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then we have her. Then we had Hurt at the end. And just the fact that he gave everybody what they wanted in this episode. And now from what I'm hearing, this is just the beginning of their celebration of the 50th anniversary. They plan to carry it out all next season as well.
Oh.
Series. Or at least that's what the press releases are alluding to right now. And then that last scene with John Hurt was just like...
I'll say I didn't quite like the wording on the screen. I thought it was really cool at the end, but then they were like, John Hurt as the Doctor.
Introducing as the Doctor.
Yeah.
That didn't bother me.
I just didn't like it. I don't know. I think it would have been, the writing kind of made you go, oh, wait a minute, what?
Now, one thing, when I did hear the name, I was like, oh man, Drew's going to love this. When they mentioned the Valyard, I thought of you. I was like, oh, Drew's going to love this.
The first time I saw because I didn't get a chance to watch this and cheer because I was in a house. It was 12 o'clock at night. It was streaming on BBC iPlayer, and there was a 6-month-old in the room next door, so I had to be really quiet. And when I was watching it, it was taking a while to load, and so the Valyard mention was skipped, and several other things were skipped. But I'd like to go back to the introducing John Hurt as the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it would have been very nice to have had it be in the traditional sense at the end in the credits.
Yeah.
But that moment would have meant anything to us. It would have just been simply John Hurt turning around. So we had to have it. It hit the mark the way it was supposed to. I'm not saying they couldn't have come up with a different way of doing it, but I understand why they did it the way they did.
I thought it was kind of lackluster because it didn't really. I don't know. It kind of killed the impact for where he turns around, he's talking to him, and then.
Well, I think Die Hard fans knew who he's supposed to be in a sense.
Well, he also spoiled it a couple of days before.
You know something I didn't hear?
Yeah, it had been leaked out. Something along those lines. Because knowing that he was going to be in the 50th anniversary episode, they took pictures. There are pictures of him on set in a.
See, I didn't get that. I'm so glad. So okay, because we're on the topic of John Hurt, I want to explore just who John Hurt might be.
Sure. You mean the John Hurt's Doctor?
John Hurt's Doctor. Because I think there's some obvious things. Is it the Valyard? Could he be somebody before Hartnell's Doctor? You know, the one that might have been there at the beginning when they created time travel. Like a lot of people think that, you know, the Doctor was the third component. Or, and this is what I'm leaning towards, could he be the Doctor between 8 and 9 that was the man that actually fought the Time War? Because the way he's saying, you know, you did stuff not in the name of the Doctor, and what bigger thing than trapping and not in peace, you know, destroying and trapping both, you know, Gallifrey and the Dialects and everything else, all the Time Lords, into the time lock. So, yeah, I mean, do you guys have any speculation about who or what or where this Doctor might fall into the grand scheme of things?
Those were my 3.
Were they?
Yeah. Yeah, I figured it was one of those. Though, I mean, it seems like if those are the ones we jump towards,
yeah,
Moffat's probably going to give us something else.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But yeah.
Though, but of course, like with River's Song, I mean, he gave us the obvious. You know, I mean, it's really hard to say. But yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking. It has to be one of those three.
Okay, as if you get to choose one of those, which one do you think it is and why?
8 and 9, between 8 and 9. Just, I mean, because he said he did something that was not the Doctor, you know, that wasn't peace. Now, the argument could be, you know, he did choose peace by, you know, trapping both those species in the time lock, you know, to save everybody else. But I don't know. It's just my gut. He's the guy between 8 and 9.
Well, there's some evidence in the episode to support that because it Richard Grant's the Great Intelligence refers to the battle that was just too much for the old man.
Yep. Yeah. That was the one thing I was thinking that was why it would be that.
And again, when you're dealing with a time traveling show, you know, linear progression of storytelling is not going to have any place in there. Yeah. But you know. He mentions the Valyard.
Yeah. And they focused a lot in the Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, Time War, stuff like that. We saw the book. We heard the encyclopedia talking and everything. So they've brought it up in the rest of 7B for a couple episodes, so it would make sense. Yeah.
But he mentions the Valyard's name, and as we know, the Valyard is the in-between Doctor between 12 and 13. Yeah. So, which hasn't happened yet, and Matt Smith, and I'm saying Matt Smith's name, I know he's the Doctor, but it's important that we, you know, make some delineations.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, he basically says that at his grave, this is the grave of lives that have gone and haven't happened yet. So. Yeah. But I did find it interesting that the console of the TARDIS, what he was buried in, is the current console. Which,
the way I kind of justified that in my mind was that's the interior he's used to right now, and that's where he went. Yeah. Because I mean, they've shown and they've talked about, you know, the auxiliary rooms and stuff like that on all the old consoles are there. That's, you know, that's.
Oh no, I'm not saying it was I'm just wondering, you know.
One thing I noticed, he hasn't said his name yet on Translore. He still has not answered the question.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Which means I still think we have to go back and have him at some point answer that question.
Sure. Well, he has to tell it to River, so it makes me wonder if River's swan song is happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a really good chance that, you know, she might come back just for the sheer fact that, you know, they made mention of the computer, that she's still there.
And the fact that they did make the comment about people were saying, well, maybe she's the little girl from Clara was the little girl from the library. We haven't seen all of her renditions, so.
Yeah, I think.
Because she might have been there to save River. So we never know.
Yeah, go ahead.
And also, we still have one other important question that has not been answered about Clara. Who was the shopkeeper? I mean. You know, to me, you know, it may very well be River at this point, more so than anybody else.
Well, if it's River, then Clara would have recognized
her. Then it might be Susan.
Or it might be Rose, because Rose we know is coming back in the next episode, and Rose, let's face it, is probably going to continue working in shops the rest of her life. So yeah. But here's the thing: we know that big blue guy from end of series 6.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Anyway, he said that on the fields of Trezalore, what's the line? In the fields of Trezalore, where no question can go unanswered.
Yeah.
You know, the ultimate. So I'm wondering if they maybe have gone, let's just forget about that. You can't lie. Though it's interesting, the Whispermen mention the line when he lies in Trenzalore, he lies no more or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's like once he's laid down, he has to speak the truth. But it didn't seem like anyone had to force the truth. That was not something that was brought up.
Yeah, no, I mean the thing is he never lied. He just he tried not to answer the question.
Yeah.
And River's the one that answered it for him, which means she was there more than just as a projection of Clara. The TARDIS or something could still hear her.
Oh yeah, here's my notes on things I wanted to talk about. They're so small. They're not bad things. It's just little.
What are some of them?
Okay, so I mentioned the not holding hands thing. I guess the original air date changed quite a bit because I think it seemed like they wanted to do the same thing that they did in Series 5 with I think it was May 26th. That is the day that they go back, and so this is April 10th, 2013. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder why they couldn't go back and change the voice to fit it. It seems like... Anyway, little thing. Did Vostra get embarrassed because introducing Clara to River because Strax mentions that she's turned a darker shade of green?
I think she was sort of embarrassed because I think she figured that the Doctor would have said something by now about who she is, and she kind of like, oops, I just accidentally opened a can of worms here.
Right.
I wasn't expecting to.
Possibly my favorite moment in this is the Doctor referring to the kids as those little Daleks, which I didn't want to see. I will say that their appearance in this episode was the best acting they've done so far.
I had that same note. It was the best use of the kids so far.
Yeah, it's like, hey, them tricking him, fantastic. There's a Sherlock Holmes reference that I thought was pretty cool.
Was there?
The Doctor says, they're looking over at Trenzalore and they're looking down, and I always thought I could, retire, and I can't remember what the first thing he mentions.
Flower arranging,
beekeeping.
Oh yeah, beekeeping, yeah.
Holmes retired to Sussex to be a beekeeper. Strax says, surrender. We have the place surrounded. Surrender your women and intellectuals. Mm-hmm. This makes me wonder exactly what they have planned for their prisoners. And yeah, you're right. And yeah, possibly my favorite is the fact that the Valyard is now officially canon. Is canon. They cannot ignore that episode anymore. And everyone had basically said, so I have one bit, and this is something that you and I have discussed. I think we may all have discussed this at one point in time. It's something we could possibly discuss on our. I'll get to that another time. So, Brain of Morbius. The Brain of Morbius has now become slightly more interesting, and I think we're going to be having people bring the Brain of Morbius back into consideration because during the mind-bending scene, we get to see previous Doctors. Mm-hmm. And that has always been kind of poo-pooed and hand-waved away as being, a product of the time when no one cared about continuity. But if, in fact, the Hurt Doctor becomes... We got to come up with a better name than that.
The Hurt Doctor.
Beardy McScarf. If he is a pre-Hartnell, and I don't think he is.
No.
But if he is, then that would be interesting. I like the idea of it affecting the numbering sequence, and I think that yes, the most obvious choice is a post-Magan, and maybe to answer that question, maybe we'll see the regeneration from Magan into this guy.
That'd be amazing.
Here's the thing. I know I'm preaching to the choir. We all agree this. We need to see M'Gonn in person back into one of these. Just because every other Doctor has gotten a chance.
Especially since they've gone ahead and done the new look for him.
Yeah.
And they've pretty much got him ready. He's got a costume.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, they've redone the costume. They make it more comfortable for him, make it more interesting. They gave him his own sonic screwdriver. And this was like Weta that designed the screwdriver. I mean, the costume's the official new costume of the 8th Doctor that's used in all the promo stuff that's considered canon and continuity. It would be great to see that and acknowledge. And that could be the reason why we got such a short flash of him in...
No, next to nothing.
Yeah. So that's why I'm really hoping that, we might get surprised in the 50th episode. Or, like I said, from what I read in the latest press release, the BBC is going to be celebrating the 50th from the 50th to the 51st and doing some more things. So I think the only real other question that we haven't really touched on here, when do you think we get the trailer for the 50th?
That's a good question. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think of what we have. We have proms coming up in the next couple of weeks. I doubt they'll be ready by then. They're going to give us the 50th on the 23rd. I don't know. I don't have a clue.
Do you think somewhere between here and now, or do you think they're going to give us little bits along the way?
Well, I mean, I think any advertising is going to tell you we're going to start off with essentially a teaser, and then as the post-production starts to work, we'll probably get something more. The way it has even for this season's 7B. But when is a really good question. I really wish it had been something at the end of this one. I know we all do, but
when actually but it's too far down the line. I would almost say Dragon Con, just because they do have a working relationship. They did release that one episode of Doctor Who early to them, but I mean, it would have to be soon, especially if it's going to be a theatrical release as well.
Well, we don't have any details on what a theatrical release means. No one has said international theatrical release.
But the thing is, even if it's just Britain, at some point they are going to have to start showing the trailer in theaters.
I don't know. I know that in Britain the television is advertised on there, so I know that they have the theatrical trailers that we get, like at the very beginning of every Doctor Who box set. They show them in theaters, or I've been told they show them in theaters.
Well, there's a few other things we talk about really quick about the 50th and season 8. Things that we know. Mm-hmm. We know that Smith's coming back
for some of it.
We don't know. It may be the full season. It may be half the season. We're hearing various things. Mm-hmm. We do know we're getting a Christmas special.
We are getting one.
They have mentioned that. We know Coleman's coming back. Mm-hmm. For at least part of season 8. They're not saying for how much. And we also know we're going to get Moffat back, but right. we don't know for how much. So I find that very interesting. Because honestly, like I said before, I don't know if I posted this or talked about it on an episode. He might get regenerated in the Christmas episode, and everything, or we might start off with the new Doctor in the Christmas episode, and then we get flashbacks through season 8 about how we get there.
Yeah, there's no...
I mean, there's really no telling, and honestly, with what Moffat did with this, or at least with the first part of our 50th special, there's no telling what he has planned, because, like I said, I thought he was falling off his game. I thought it was time for him to lead the show, but, I mean, like I said, he brought it. I mean, I think he really, really did bring it for this, and I understand some of those quotes now where he was saying, maybe it's time for me to leave, because I've really outdone myself, sort of, with the 50th. So, anything else you want to say about the this episode?
I feel like anything else I say will just open up a whole nother conversation. It's long enough as it is, so I'll reserve extra comments for maybe an afterthought,
a
recap on our website.
Yeah. But, anything else you want to say? Okay, before we go, I do want to do this much. How would you rate the Strippy TARDIS-wise?
How would you rate it?
Honestly, I would have to give this a solid 5. With the caveat, with what he pulls in the 50th the 50th episode proper, that might destroy it because I really do think we're looking at 2 parts of a whole. But as of right now, this is and honestly, if I always keep it by itself, it to me will always be a 5 derpy TARDIS because I won't lie, it screamed out to the classic Whovian in me. I thought it was a happy marriage between both classic and new Who into one episode. Or at least that's the way I feel. Now, the one thing I would love to see is I'd love to talk to, oh boy, I'm trying to blank, Steve Long, because he's such a big Whovian, classic Whovian, that I'd be curious to see what his opinion is, and I think I might have to, maybe we might want to sit down with him at Con Carolinas and just talk to him about this episode, because I'd really love to know what his thoughts and feelings are about being such a devoted classic Doctor fan with this episode. So how would you guys rate this episode?
I would give it I can't decide between a 4 and a 4.5.
That's what I'm thinking.
4.25. 4 1/4 derpy TARDISes. Maybe a 4.5. I liked it. Here's the thing with this episode. As much as I liked it, it didn't... I liked it, but I felt that either I should have liked it more or they were doing things to make me like it. I still think I liked Hyde better because just because when I think about those episodes, like I get excited about that episode where I didn't get really excited about this. And I don't know if it's the situation in which I viewed it. Maybe if I watch it another 7 more times or so, I'll...
No, you just need to watch it with me and me tugging on your arm. This is so awesome! This is, yeah.
So I'll go ahead, jump into the future, and I'll rate it then. 3.5 derpy TARDISes. No, I think 4 or 5. It was a well done piece. I liked it, but I didn't love it.
I think I'm with you on 4.5. So I'm sitting here going 4 or 4.5 while he was talking. So I think 4.5.
Well, and the good thing is I'm not going to allow half TARDISes in this one, half derpy TARDISes. Everything's going to round up. So that's 3 5s for this episode. Host prerogative here. No, I mean, honestly, just to be perfectly honest, this was a happy marriage of some of my happiest moments in childhood brought together. It made me relive my childhood, and I think that's the reason why I adored it so much. It was the 5 Doctors, technically the 11, 12, possibly 13. It's just, it made me have that magical moment again. And honestly, I was really sad that, we couldn't get together and watch this together. I think this would have been a phenomenal episode to watch together. And I think at some point, we should watch when the anniversary comes out, we watch and film that. But then, actually throw the camera on us, watch both parts together, and just, do our own sort of commentary track.
I think a commentary track would be great for this one.
Yeah.
Obviously, a commentary track for this one would be great, because there's a lot to talk about.
There is. So this is Gallifrey Pirate Radio signing off, and I honestly, Moffat, I cannot wait for the 50th now. Thank you. Peace.